Okay, so why did you choose Media City and specifically Salford for your protest today?
Two things. We wanted to protest against the withdrawal agreement and the absolute maelstrom that has become British politics. There is a large rally going on for Leave Means Leave in London today, and I couldn't be there, but I was so incensed by what was going on that I wanted to actually express that democratically. I looked to find a European office, a European Union office in the north, and couldn't find one. There is one in Smith Square in London, but there's not one in the north. And in fact, I think that's one of the problems with the EU. There's no democratic accountability. Where the heck do you go and sort of actually make a representation to? So my view was that I would protest outside the BBC at Media City, because that is, as far as I can see, part of the establishment, part of the elite, who actually promote the myth that the EU is a force for good, and I don't believe it is. So that's why we're here. So it's two things, really. One, to protest against the withdrawal agreement. Secondly, to protest against the bias, or the perceived bias, that the BBC has.
Okay, so what's your main issue with BBC coverage? What's your main and what's your evidence?
Yeah, well, okay, good. My point is, my evidence is almost every single news programme. If it's bad news, we'll have despite Brexit. Despite Brexit, okay. Sorry, good news rather. We'll have despite Brexit. Good news will be attributed to something that the European Union is doing. I feel that when you have interviews, they tend to be, if they're not Remainers, they are Leavers plus. They don't really represent, I think, a lot of the people who I talk to on a day-to-day basis.
They've had Jacob Rees-Mogg on quite a lot, though, haven't they?
Yeah, they have Jacob Rees-Mogg, but normally they'll have two or three other people from the Remain camp with them. At the same time, so it's never a balanced approach. That's how I feel. That's how I perceive it.
Okay. Do you have an issue with the withdrawal agreement as it stands?
I feel as though we're being humiliated by it. I think that clearly Theresa May has never negotiated for a second-hand car, because it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous that we end up in a situation where we give the people who we're negotiating with the right to decide when the deal is good, and we don't. And we're going to give them £39 billion of our money. It's insane. It is. I mean, like, just at that level, without even going into and in many ways, I think the withdrawal agreement's made it incredibly complicated to stop ordinary people from understanding what's going on.
What's the biggest flaw with the withdrawal agreement, in your opinion?
The fact that we can't withdraw, we can't decide at the end of the transition period that we would like to withdraw unilaterally. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, like, whatever we say, the withdrawal agreement is a mechanism for keeping us in the European Union.
And do you think Theresa May is capable of executing this withdrawal agreement?
No.
Why not?
I don't think she commands the House. I don't think she has not got the votes in the Houses of Parliament to make that happen.
So who do you think should replace her?
If I knew that, I'd be down the bookies. I'm making a lot of money. Honestly, I think that we're now in a situation whereby, for me, I think that on the 29th of March, we will leave. We will not crash out, but we will leave on World Trade Organisation terms, and then that's fine. That's absolutely fine for my own personal opinion.
Okay, so do you think we should crash out, or do you think another deal would be better?
I don't think we crash out. I would like a deal, because I think they are our friends and allies, okay? And I think that's really important to put that across. I think they, in some respects, are not acting like friends and allies, but nevertheless, they are our friends and allies. We do a huge amount of trade with them, and I would like a trade agreement that actually facilitates the movement of people and goods and services, but not at the expense of our sovereignty.
Okay, so if we go through with this deal and a no deal is possible, what do you think? What position will we be in then?
I think it'll be fine. Genuinely, I think we're in a sort of you're not old enough to remember the millennium bug, But I mean, the Millennium Bug 2000, the world was going to end, the sky was going to crash in. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I think and from what I read in the press today, the civil service, when they get down to it, the planes are still going to fly, the drugs are still going to be there. You know, why wouldn't that be the case? I mean, why wouldn't that be the case? But you know, we deal with the world. We don't just deal with the protectionist bloc, which is what the EU has become.
Okay. So do you think if all we're faced with is a no deal, do you think we should have a second referendum?
The problem with a second referendum is you're saying to 17.4 million people, you got it wrong. I think that people voted to leave. There was a very clear choice on the ballot paper, which was you either remain or you leave. We've had 2 years
Was it really that clear, though?
It was absolutely that clear. That's what it said on the ballot paper. And for the last 2 years, you've had a government that has tried to keep us in the European Union, not leave the European Union. And that is not what was asked. That was not the question that was asked by the people. The Parliament and the government said quite clearly that they would, whatever the people decided, they would implement. There was no caveat attached to that, right? So the democratic will of the people was that we should leave, and I believe that should be carried out. I mean, for me, it's very simple. We either live in a democracy and we leave, or if we don't leave, we don't live in a democracy.
So there has been many surveys with the results bringing back that a lot of people believe that they will be changing their mind and that we should stay, actually.
There are surveys like that, but then there were surveys before the referendum which clearly showed that the Remainers would win. I think that the odds for the Remain side to win were significantly in favour of that.
But we're specifically talking about surveys after the referendum.
Oh yeah, and there are surveys before that said surveys are surveys, and people in the privacy of the polling booth will make their own decision rather than in front of a pollster. And I think I have great faith that should there be a second referendum, that Leave would win. I mean, the strapline, I believe, is going to be tell them again, and I think we will.
Okay, so a lot of people, don't you think a lot of people have now changed their mind after seeing the chaos that's happening right now?
I don't think that people have changed their mind. I genuinely don't see that. I think that...
So you're saying they're wrong?
No, I'm not saying that. Why would I say that? I'm just saying that I don't think that people have changed their mind. And I think that, it's not for me to say that they're wrong.
But what about the results?
What about the results?
The polls, the polls show
some polls say that Remainers are in front, some polls that say that Leavers are in front. Ashcroft reduced a poll last week saying that the positions have hardly changed at all. So
you don't believe in the results of all of the polls that have been released?
I think that the polling organisations have got some serious thinking to do about the efficacy of their methods, because they keep on getting it wrong. They keep on getting it wrong. It doesn't matter what the polls say. I tell you what was really concerning is we're in a situation now where technocrats are actually determining what happens within the European Union, and it's no longer a democratic organisation. I really think that. I think we've lost the connection between the rulers and the ruled. I've always considered myself to be a citizen, and you are a citizen. I think if the way things are going, you're going to end up being a subject. Okay, and that's extremely scary. Democracy is a great thing, and we'll miss it when it's gone. Genuinely.
So if Theresa May is incapable of getting this deal and she does topple, Labour are going to come in. Do you think they'll have a chance?
Why will Labour come in? I see that the body politic is riven.
Apologies, they might come in.
They might do. They might not. I mean, let the people decide. But that's a general election.
Do you think
but I don't even know there'll be a general... I mean, that's the thing. The constitutional crisis is massive. You've got a ruling elite who, when they saw the result in 2016, were horrified. Okay, absolutely horrified, because they went, oh no, that wasn't part of the plan. But I don't think that Brexit is an isolated incident. It happened in the United States with Trump. It happened in what on earth's going to happen in the May European elections in Europe, frankly, is very scary. Because if the centrist parties do not listen to the people, the people have got no other alternative but to move away from the centre, and that's clearly what's happening. Whether it's in France, where you've got the yellow jackets, or the yellow vests rather, the AfD in Germany, Austria, Hungary, Spain, Greece. I mean, there is convulsions. The EU is not a bastion of stability, if I may paraphrase Theresa May. It is not. I mean, it's a mess. And, I have yet to hear Remainers talk about why it's a benefit.
Okay. So this protest today, is it a sign of bigger things to come, perhaps?
Yeah, I hope so. I absolutely hope so. It's got to start somewhere. I think that, to get that many people with no political organisation, with no backing, it's just a case of we're furious, right? And that's fantastic. I mean, who knows where it might go? But that's the death. To be honest, that's democracy in action, is it not? If there had only one person to turn up, I'd have been there, and that's fine. But a lot more than that did. So we'll just see what happens.
So are you pleased with the results today?
No, I'm not. I would have liked more people to come, but that's not. But that's not in my ken. I just said, as an ordinary citizen, I'm really annoyed. Right, I'm very frustrated. The people who in London are not listening to, I believe, ordinary people. They have their own agenda. What's happening is that the globalists are being enriched by the European Union. Ordinary citizens are being made poorer. It's pretty straightforward. Across Europe, that is what's happening. And I worry about young people, and I want to address particularly because people tell me that young people are more in favour of Europe than not. They're being sold. I believe they're being sold a pup. I think that in my generation, young people went all over Europe, working, travelling, holiday, had a great time. There's no reason to do that. My sons have just gone to New Zealand, Australia. It isn't a problem, right? Travelling and meeting new people is a great thing, and we want that to happen, right? You lose your democratic rights. That's a big problem.
Thank you, Rob Butler, supporter of Leave Means Leave.
That's been great, Ruth. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.